am zoomed in today, guys. I apologize. I gotta, I'm gonna work on that. How everybody? Sorry, I'm a little blurry. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but that's all right. I hope everyone had the most, well, one, happy 2025. Thanks for joining me on this lovely Thursday. I'm gonna open up the chat for everyone. Perfect. Happy 2025. I don't know about all of you. I hope so far so good. Oh, Teresa, you're raising your hand. Hi, Selena. Hi, Angela. Welcome, welcome. So, I don't know about all you, but this is the Mondayest Thursday I've felt in a long time. But it's okay. And I think that's more because I don't know about all of you, but I took a long break. There's a Kim, you agree? Ugh, Angela, you agree? And listen, I know I made a choice. I took Teresa. Yep, very Monday-like. I agree. So I made a choice. I took Christmas and New Year's off because, as many of you know in the industry, that we are headed into busy season, and which was lovely. I have zero regrets. But today was very Monday. It's been a week of Mondays. Oh, Lilith, I'm so sorry. Well, hopefully this will bring you a little joy and this will be some easy listening. And so that Friday will actually feel like Friday for you. But that was the beautiful thing. Like today felt like a Monday, but tomorrow is in fact Friday. So we are headed in the right direction. But I am so happy to be here with all of you. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick introduction in case this is your first time. And I see some names I think I haven't seen before, which I'm very excited about. That's my favorite. I love when new people come. Please, if you are not new here and you're headed back, invite new people. We like all the new people. Please, please, please. But let's see here. Charity. Hello, Charity. Welcome. So here, I'm excited too, Angela. Honestly, and I know I get sappy and I've talked to you guys about it from week to week, but I look forward to this so much. And I would be lying to you if I didn't today. I was like a little tired at 5 o'clock. Today was a busy day. And I was like, am I gonna be able to do it? And then I don't know what it is. I hit like, all right, let's go live. And I feel so good. I feel so good being here. I love chatting with all of you. I love Thursday nights with you all. But what I love the most is our topic tonight, but I'll get into that in a second. So if it's your first time here, my name is Laura DeVega. I am the Director of Agency Development at World Via Travel Network. I have been in the industry for headed into year 14. Technically, I'm like starting my 14th year. I've been in it 13 years. I have done everything from, I've been an advisor like all of you. I owned my own agency. I worked on the supplier side and worked in the business development section of that. Worked for a very popular wholesaler for many years and ended up running their business development team at the end. Have worked with many sales teams over my years. And what I have noticed over my years and working with so many advisors and meeting so many agency owners is that there has just not been a space for professional and personal development that is focused at travel advisors. I've had conversations where like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And I hate it. So I wanted to create a space. I do this every Thursday night. It's free. Tell your friends. You do not have to be part of my network. Please, I encourage you not to be. This is for all my travel friends that I've met throughout the years. And I am just so excited to have you all with me tonight. Lilith, you're very new, still training and setting up your foundation. Good one. Good for you. Welcome to the craziness. It's a lot of fun. I'm a big believer in those of you that have been in it for a minute, and if you haven't, the industry is a real way to get your claws in. And once you're in it, you can't get out. I know people that have tried and they're right back in. So it's a wonderful, wonderful industry. So if you have any questions, Lilith, I'll pop my email up in a bit, and at the end, feel free to ask me them, or if I can help with anything, please let me know while we're chatting. I'm going to go ahead and do one of two things, which I always start this with. One, there is a Facebook group. Not that I think that you need to chat away on Facebook, which is a wonderful place to do so if you want to, but what it's really for is this is where all the old episodes will sit and will get loaded into when once it's over. So Andrea, who helps me out, will load this episode in tomorrow, and all the past episodes are in there. I will say this year we have a really great plan where things are going to kind of flow. So I'm going to pop. Well, Angela, we would love to have you in there. So let me put the Facebook group in there really quickly. And so then we can get started there. And then I'll go ahead and share my presentation. And so it will say that you need approval. I do all the approvals, so don't stress there. I just want to share the link really quickly. And feel free to add yourself in there and I'll get you at the end. So that's in the chat if you want to join the Facebook group. That's also where you see new episodes that are coming up, so you know what's going to happen. Also, please feel free to start your own conversations in there. Oh, yay, Rhonda, good for you. You're looking forward to signing up in the next few days. Listen, you're about to take a huge step and get excited, like I said. And there's so much, and I think you made the right choice kind of coming to this today. I'm a big believer. We had a different focus for tonight, and I went, tonight has to be goals. And only because I think you have to start a new year with new goals. There is so much with World Via, Angela. And that's why I love it here. But we could talk about that too later. But I'm a big believer in goals. I won't, those of you that have been here, ooh, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. I started the presentation on the wrong screen while I was talking to you guys. I'm a big believer in goals, and those of you that have been here in the weeks past know that I will never tell you something that I don't believe myself. I'm not going to sell you something because that's not my game. I'll always try to offer you an opportunity that you can do this for little to no cost because you are building a business. So like you don't need to be in that space. But I am a true believer in goals and setting goals. So we talked about this in August. So if you were here in the August one, welcome back. It's slightly different, and we're going to talk a little bit more focus on the year as a whole. When we did this in August, it was more like mid-year momentum in a sense, like what do we do now, right? Actually, I think it might have been July. Ooh, I don't know. But regardless, it was many moons ago. So I thought it was a great time to get back into it. Here, let me pop the presentation up too while I'm kind of talking about why I chose this and what we're going to talk about. So one, my email address is there. I always pop it in the beginning at the end. Please feel free to email me at any time if you have any questions, if you want to schedule time to talk with me, whatever I can help with. That is what I really enjoy doing. So please, it's in my title as agency development. I really want to help people set themselves up for for their business to run correctly and to be successful. So please feel free to email if you want, but we're going to talk about 2025 goals. I'm going to talk about how to build them, how to break them down, maybe what your vision should be. I'm going to overarching talk about it. If any of you at the end of this went, I have no idea where to start and would like some advice on and I can help walk through a goal, I'd love to help with that. Let me know. Oh, I just realized I shared this not the way I wanted to. I like you to be able to see me. Hold on. Because I want you to see it hand in hand. There we go. So you can see me while I'm chatting. Beautiful. Okay. So, ooh, nope, and I didn't put the right screen up. Guys, it's the first day of the year. Bear with me. Okay, let's do this again. We're going to share that screen. You're welcome. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean it. So can everyone see the 2025 goals? I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and start it because now I'm 3 minutes past when I wanted to start. But thank you, Angela. So let's get into goals, right? And some people are skeptical of goals. Some people don't want to do it. They don't want to deal with the work of building it. They don't want to think about it. You'll hear me say a lot. It's very easy for people to not work on their business. They just only want to work in it because you're grinding, right? You're in the day to day. You're like, I got to book this. And I don't know how many of you, if you're already booking, if you're not still in the setup process, you're already booking, it was like a light switch turned on today. I don't know if you feel that way. I know many of the advisors that I deal with on the day to day were like, I walked into this many bookings. I was speaking to an advisor this morning that was like, my like phone list was full of people ready to book, which is one, incredibly exciting, but two, also incredibly overwhelming. And how in that time and space are you trying to build yourself as well as build your business? It's difficult, right? So one, just thank you for showing up to do this because this is just showing that you're trying to do that. And I'm very much about working on the business, not just in it. And I think setting a goal is incredibly important to do that. It could be the smallest of baby goals, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But just setting one goal could change your whole trajectory of your business this year. So it's really important. So let me go into, Come on, you can do it. There we go. Why goals matter. Okay. So one, I've listed this here is an essential part of growth for your, for a part of growth and development for your business. If you can go and open your business, or even if you are not in an opening stage, if you're in a growing stage and not set a goal and you are just gonna, there is a phrase that I don't love, but it gets the point across here. It's called spray and pray. You're just throwing things at the wall and hoping it works. I'm going to book everything that comes into my mailbox and not take a minute to go if this is what I want to book or what I should be booking. Is it a profit driver? Does it make sense? So you're just spraying and praying. And you can do that. And that's going to work for so long until you burn out. And I don't want to assume you're going to burn out, but odds are good you're going to burn out when you work in that method. When you don't have a goal in mind, when you have a direction, we don't have steps to get to that place, you're kind of all over the place. So it's really important for just the development, not only of yourself, but of the business. If you want the business to be bigger, you have to set goals. And again, it could be baby goals, but you have to start somewhere. And I think once you take the time to set a small goal, you're going to find how much easier it is to set a big goal. So goals, again, give your business direction and purpose. They also help you prioritize tasks and measure progress. I will speak for my team because I'll always relate to personal experience with all of you. We have big goals. And we break it down in planners of exactly what those tasks to get to those big goals, because getting to that goal is important to me. And I'm going to show you kind of how you can do that and kind of like what makes sense in building that in a second. But it really helps you when you have a goal in place, because if you're just putting tasks in there, my goodness, I think you all can know that can become so overwhelming. When you have the world's longest task list, and sometimes I do, I don't want to act like I'm not guilty. But having a goal, being able to place certain things under that goal and then other things under a different goal and like kind of organizing that out will really help you. So it really gives you that space for prioritizing and why it helps you measure success, because you're going to see, one, you're going to check off those tasks, you're going to get to those goals, and you're able to see, oh, I did that. I was able to do that. And I'm going to talk about a wins list later that'll really show that for you. But also, what you're focusing on controls how you feel. People will say, I'm all about vibes and it is what it is, or I don't even know how to word this, like a manifest. I'll talk about that a lot. But at the end of the day, whatever you're looking at, you're focusing on, what you're putting your attention on is exactly how you're going to be feeling. So if your attention is on the chaos that is about to assume, manifestation is everything, Angela. Agreed. But on the chaos that's in your life, you're going to inevitably bring more chaos in. And it's not that you're like, oh, I'm asking for this, but you kind of are. So a great example is, and I'm going to put this into real life conversation. You think about a pink purse and you speak about that pink purse to someone, and then all of a sudden, all you see in advertising is pink purses. That's not magic. That's not witchcraft. That is an algorithm, right? But an algorithm is based on the same idea of how getting to your goals should be focused. So when you put a focus on something and you have it in front of you, it's all of a sudden showing up in things that you didn't even realize. And it's because your attention is there. It's not because it's necessarily more obvious. It's kind of like when you buy a new car, right? And you buy that new car and you're like, oh, I have this very unique car. And I'll give an example. I have a bright yellow Ford Bronco. And I was like, nobody has that. And within weeks, all I saw were bright yellow Ford Broncos. And it's not because it didn't exist before or because I bought it. It's because now my focus is there. I know I have one, and I know there's many out there. So to bring this back to the conversation is, if you set a goal on, say, being a $5 million agency, or you set a goal to be the biggest river cruise booker, then you know, okay, I need to focus on river cruises. My training should be adjusted to river cruises. What I'm selling should be adjusted to river cruising. So my advertisement should be adjusted to river cruising. And then you're going to attract river cruise clients. So because putting your focus in a direction, it controls what comes in. And then when you put your focus on something you enjoy doing and you want to be doing and you want to be selling, it's going to affect how you feel, because you're doing what you love. You're doing what you enjoy. And when you're all over the place and you don't know where to put that energy, your brain's going to be all over the place. But when you have a focus and you feel directed, you're going to go, okay, I got this. I know I have to do this. I know this is my next step. And truly, having goals is proven to make you happier. I don't know if it's the organization of it. I don't know if it's the being able to see yourself get towards the steps of it, that it's like you completed a step, so that feels good. It's the gratification part of it. But regardless what you do, you're going to feel better if you have a goal in place because you're going to be making the goals to hit it. Now, I want to be clear, I'm making the steps to hit it. That just because I'm saying this doesn't mean if you write that goal, you're going to hit it tomorrow or Tuesday or 3 Tuesdays from now. But your focus, and when we talk about little wins in a minute, you're going to see this kind of make a lot of sense. But once you start to set goals and you start to work towards them, you are going to feel happier and better about the output you're putting out there. Rhonda, I love that. Do what you love and the money will come. It's so true. And I'll take this story another time. But yes, I 100% agree with that. I know I'm off on a tangent now, but so first things first, what kind of goals should you be setting, right? So I'm saying, set a goal. I'm throwing confetti and let's hope it all works out, right? That's not really what makes sense. So what's incredibly important when you're thinking about goals for yourself and your business is one, that it's a SMART goal. I have put probably this exact slide with just slightly different colors in many, many presentations I've done over the last few weeks. And that is because a SMART goal is the core of getting anything done or strategic planning in any way for your business. We set SMART goals in my business constantly. We do it quarterly. But to do it even just on this beginning of the year setting, you're starting off 25, start it off strong, set some SMART goals. What are SMART goals? Okay. And I put this in there. I put this, make a meaningful, effective goal. You can use SMART goal criteria. SMART goal has nothing to do with travel. SMART goal is a business tactic. SMART goal is all throughout the development world. You'll see SMART goals everywhere. Take a minute to look up goals or SMART goals. You're going to see them everywhere. So this is not my material, but I just want to reiterate it so you understand it and you know it's around. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. Let's talk through that very quickly. It needs to be specific. You can't say, I want to book more. Everybody wants to book more. You can't say, I want a bigger team. How big? You can't say, I want to make the most money. How much is that? See where I'm getting here? It needs to be, I want to be $1 million agency. I want to grow my team by tenfold. I want to be the #1 Caribbean seller for ALG next year. Whatever it is. Or it could just be, I want to sell 1 river cruise. Angela, I want to make $5,000 in commission. Nailed it. That is it. That is specific. You know exactly what you want. And again, for anyone that's just starting out, this is, I want 1 cruise booking. I want 1 Disney booking. I want to book my first FIT, right? Because as you start to book things are going to start coming to you in different trips that you may not be familiar with. Maybe it's just that I want to get out of my comfort zone, right? But it's got to be specific. It has to be measurable. Angela, yours is a great example of measurable. There's a dollar amount attached to it. I want to be the #1 seller of this product. Measurable. I want to have 10 new employees. Measurable. I want to put in 5 new ads or pay for 5 new ads to advertise my business. Measurable. I want to book a girls group on Virgin Voyages. Lilith, can I come? Can I tell you, this is a little sidebar, but I just want to say it. I have been on many cruise lines. Cruising isn't necessarily my favorite, but what I do want to do is a Virgin voyage, and I have not done one yet, and I am so sad about it. And that is a goal for me, is to get on a Virgin Voyages cruise this year, I think. I don't know, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. But that's a great goal because one, it's measurable. You know how many you need to be in to be a group for them. You know who you want it to be with. You can measure it, and it's specific. Is it attainable? That's absolutely attainable for you, Lilith. $5,000, Angela, is absolutely attainable for you. If you are currently looking to achieve booking your first group, your goal should not be to be the top group salesperson within your host agency or consortium. It's not attainable. Not yet. It can be. It's not attainable yet. If you haven't even sold a river cruise yet, your goal should not be to be the most successful river cruise advisor in your host agency. If you're goal is to be $1 million agency. If you haven't even made a booking yet, it's probably not attainable for you. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you won't get there. You have to make the smaller goals to get to that. Okay. Also has to be relevant. I don't think I've said anything that wouldn't be relevant to travel, but you would be shocked how quickly people pull off to right field or left field when they're like thinking of different goals and options. So making sure it's relevant. Sometimes you want to be like, well, I want to grow myself and I want to be a better business person. So I'm going to read a book on sales. Yes, somewhat relevant, but if your goal is to be a $5 million agent, not relevant. And I hope that makes sense. So the goal should be very relevant to what you want to attain out of your business. And I talk about vision in a second, so you'll see what I mean by that. And then timely. If you don't set a time on a goal, you'll probably never hit it. There are statistics in this. I forget what they are. I don't want to lie to you all. I meant to grab them before we started, but the reality is if there is not an end goal, and that's why you notice a lot of them, I said, I want to do this by the end of this year. I want to do this by the end of this year. Now, circle back for a second. When I said I want to be $1 million agent, but you haven't booked yet. But if your goal is to be $1 million agent in year 5, totally acceptable goal. Making sure that makes sense is what makes sense. So make sure it's timely. Make sure there's a timestamp on it. Now, I'm a big believer for a timely goal. It should either be within the year or within the quarter because you can envision it easier. You can get there easier. So make sure whatever is specific and relevant, attainable about it, it can be within that time period. And then you're going to hit your goals more often. A lot of times when goals are not hit is because people set this crazy audacious goal, which I love a big, hairy, audacious goal, if you've ever heard of a beehead goal. But they don't have the steps in line to get there. And so it goes haywire, like it goes all wonky along the way, right? So making sure it makes sense in the time period. And I'm a big believer of quarterly and also yearly goals. So one, let's talk about what your goal can be. Now we've already kind of broke this down, right? I'm gonna take a sip of water quick, but is it a dollar amount? Is it adding an employee or IC? Is it getting a virtual assistant? It's a very real thing. Even if you're just starting out, to help you get organized, to set your automations in place, totally makes sense. Is it one day to have a storefront? I don't know. These are just examples of things that they could be. But again, like a storefront, if you're just starting out, is not an attainable goal for a quarterly goal. It's not an attainable goal or a timely goal for even maybe a year. You might need a few years in that. But if you're 10 years in, you're seeing that traction going, it could be much more attainable for you. So what is your goal? And this is why I just want to talk about vision. I think it's important to take a minute and kind of blue sky. So before you get to your goal, many people that speak about goals, I highly recommend you look at Mel Robbins speaks a lot about goals. Oh my goodness. John Acuff has a whole great, fabulous book about goals. I'll put all these in the Facebook group after. But it's always important to think big picture, at least for a minute. You don't have to stay in that space. But because what is the end goal, right? Did you get into travel just for fun, for here, for there? Okay, then maybe your big goal is going to be a little bit different. But if it is your big goal to have a team of 10 and running a storefront, I know I bring storefront up and I know it's not as relevant necessarily as it's been, but I think it's important to talk about as an option. You have to scale back from that. So I have scaling your business there. So like what your end goal is, how you have to scale to it. You kind of have to break that apart and then find your goal within there. I put education on here because is your goal to broaden your horizons as a business and sell a more diversified product? So maybe it's, I want to add on 5 new suppliers or 5 new destinations I don't know about. Is the vision to be a complete travel agency? And because that's not everybody's vision, and I don't recommend it necessarily for everyone either. I'm a very big proponent of having a niche and understanding your niche and getting behind it and knowing your profit drivers. But that doesn't mean if you want to grow a large business that you don't want to sell everything. And if your goal is to be like the top seller in a certain product line or supplier, education is going to be incredibly important to you. Because if you're not educated in that product and you're just assuming off what you already know, you're going to get left in the dust. I'm sorry, but you are. So, and then also if the goal is more clients, is just to grow your business and scale your business, kind of goes hand in hand with the one at the end. Is it more clients? And that it doesn't have to be scaling on like getting a storefront or getting more employees. Is it just building that book of business? Is it to have 100 clients? Is it to have 20 repeat clients? I don't know, but I just put these on here of ideas, of visions, of directions, because you have to pick a direction and then kind of find your goal from there. Now, that being said, you can have many goals, and the goals that you guys already put out there are also excellent examples of goals that you could use and could be there. I'm a big proponent of having more than one goal, because then you can do little steps to each one and you get more little wins along the way. But think it through. Think through what makes sense for you at the end. What do you want this to look like? I spoke to an advisor for months ago, but her goal was always to be an exotic tour operator, like, or just exotic travel advisor. She'd sold exotics. She was friends with all the DMCs in all these countries. She's been in the business for 30 years. And even at 30 years, she went, my goal this year is to sell cruises. I've never really sold them. I don't know anything about them. So her goal was to broaden her book. It was to broaden what she was offering to her clients. And for her, that was a lot of education. That was a lot of seeing what kind of product would be good for her clients first, and then knowing the ins and outs of it, and then marketing the heck out of it, right? This was a very experienced, very well established advisor that already had a great book of business, but wanted to branch out, because last year, and if you were in the industry at that point, or if you're new and you didn't know, cruising was just kept getting bigger and bigger. And she's like, I am clearly missing out on money. I need to be a part of this. So just because you are established, that by no means that your goal needs to be something outlandish, or you need to grow 3 times your size. You might be fine with your size, but you want to grow that product offering for your clients to make sure you're covering all your bases. So goals, it really is whatever your vision is. It doesn't necessarily just because the assumption on goals is I need to be bigger every year. I need to get bigger. Yes, a little bit, but also part of it is changing it up, being flexible with the times, right? And so think of those things when you're thinking of your vision and your goals. Okay. So there's a couple pieces in this that are just my personal opinions on these, and this is one of them, but also there's statistical proof behind it. You are 42% more likely to hit a goal if you write it down. I write my goals down every single day. Now, am I saying you need to go off the deep end in goal planning like me? No. What I am saying is write it down. Write it on a piece of paper, stick it on a Post-it note around your computer monitor, write it in the top of your notebook. And every time you have to start a new notebook where you write your notes in, put it at the top of that next notebook. Whatever makes sense for you. Now, I am a big believer where every day I write that goal down. Now, I don't have a ton of goals. I don't think that you should. I think when you get into too many goals, it gets overwhelming. You think you can't hit them, but I do think more than one is important for diversifying your way to get to them, right? So I can tell you right now, I have I have 4 goals. 4 goals that I write every single day. Most of them are professional. One is personal. And one is financial. So actually, no, I'm sorry, 2, 1 and 1. I write them every single day. And then I'll talk about some of the other steps I do in a second that help me to get to my goals. And I say that only because I continually find myself achieving my goals. That's not me bragging. That's just a fact. I write them down. I work the steps to get them. Sometimes some take longer than others. One took me 4 years. I'm not pretending like this is going to be an easy thing. What I'm saying is, because it's been a focus, I've been able to do it consistently. I love that, Angela. Yes. So, and I actually don't, I want to be real with you all so that you don't think I'm just talking and talking. This is my book. I write every day. I won't show you the ad because I do purchase this book. I'm a big fan of her stuff, and her method of goals, but, that's not my job, but I write them every single day, and I'll show you the rest I write every day. So, that being said, you do what you want, but even if you write it one time, I write it on a piece of paper. This is my goals for the year. Put it somewhere, even if you have to fold it up, put it on your desk. I'm a big believer in looking at it because that focuses your attention in the right place, but write it down because you are proven because it's because your attention is there. Again, it's like the algorithm. If you're seeing it, you're like, am I working towards that? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be getting there? I wanted to pay attention to that. That's how this is important. So now, I list this as the dirty work. Different people that do these different theories. The one woman who I follow does, they call this all different things, but everyone has the same idea with this when you're kind of setting your goals and working to achieve them. I call it the dirty work because that's really what it is. It's like, what do I have to do to get to that goal? Because you do need to take a minute and think about that. That doesn't mean you're going to do that stuff today. What that means is you have to take the goal. So if the goal is a $5,000 commission, right? You want to make $5,000 in commission. You need to figure out, okay, what am I selling? What's the average commission I would make on those? So about how many bookings do I have to make to get to those? So one of the things you need to set that would be part of like your dirty work is, and it's your stepping stone, is I need to hit this many bookings to get to that sales goal. If your goal is to be $1 million agent, what does that look like in commissions? How many bookings do you have to make? Do you have to bring on staff to do so? Do you have to broaden your product space knowledge to know that you can get to that space? Are you selling the right profit drivers? Have you evaluated your business to see exactly what that is? So there's a lot of steps that go into this, right? It's not just, I want to do it. You have to kind of take a minute and break down the steps. Now, a great example of a goal to do that with. So say you want to sell more, let's go with escorted tours, right? And you don't know a thing about escorted tours. And so maybe the first step for you is, okay, I know I need to take the trainings for 2 new escorted tour companies. And then maybe you need to sign up for a webinar or sign up for a phone call with your business development manager for those tour companies to then ask your questions that you need. Then it's booking your first one. Then maybe it's experiencing your first one. And then it's maybe you book 5 and then you know you have an understanding. You have to set a goal for if that is where your goal is headed. My advice is that you have a number goal of how many you want to book to say to yourself, okay, I understand it, I can sell it. Because just because you sold something once doesn't mean that you necessarily know it in and out. There's some things that I've booked 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times and I'm still like, I don't know. So you have to set that number for yourself and you'll be able to figure that out within your own comfort zone, but that's important. So again, on all these little, what I call the dirty work, are those little steps you have to get there. And it should be set an amount of time. So I do mine on quarterly basis. So I will say, okay, these are the things that I'm able to accomplish in the next 3 months that are going to get me to my goal. So if my goal is to be the top river cruise salesman, but I don't know river cruises, I know my goal in the next 3 months is to complete on waterways training. I don't have to sell a single thing. Just my goal is to complete the training. And then maybe next quarter, my goal is to sell 1. And then maybe next quarter, it might be to sell a group. That might be even a stretch, but to see where I'm getting with that. So it has to be little digestible amounts in the quarter's time. And they should always be connected to your goal. You're going to be very tempted to go off the rails here, but take the time to make them more of like a stepping stone. That's why I use that phrase and use the image but make sure it is steps towards the goal. It doesn't have to be the immediate step to the goal. And that's the important part to take from this. If your end goal is to be a $5 million agency, I know I'm using outlandish numbers here, but roll with me. Your first goal might be taking in $5,000 commission. It might be taking in $1,000 in commission. It might be taking in $500 in commission, whatever that may be. And then from there, it's moving forward. And so then the next time you do this, and it won't necessarily be at the end of the 3-month period. Once you hit that, then you should be doubling that goal. Okay, now I need to hit 1,000. Okay, now I need to hit this. And now a great example of this, and I can put it, I don't want to put ideas of goals in your head because I want them to think of your own. A good idea of this is running. One of my personal goals is I want to run the Dopey Challenge for my birthday next year in Disney World, which if you don't know what that is, it's for lunatic runners like myself. You run the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon 4 days in a row. But you do in the Disney park, so that seems delightful, right? I know that I need to do certain kinds of races and a certain kinds of running in order to get myself in shape to not die running the Dopey race. So my current goal right now is to run a I only run if you're being chased. Well, I get it. And that used to be me. I don't know. I don't know where running came from for me, but I've learned to enjoy it. But I have a goal in place for a spring half marathon so that I know that I am training towards that goal. So that's going to get me this. Now I've run half marathons before, so I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just going out of there all willy-nilly. But so I know that my training sets up for that. So in my quarterly, I have run the half. So then I know I'm going to accomplish that. So I know I have to be training to that point. And once I've hit that, I can remove it and go, okay, train for a full, whatever it may be. So it changes, but like that's one of my big goals is to do that Adobe challenge. And so I have to break down the steps over this next year in order to be able to sure I accomplish that. Okay, sorry, I'm really talking through it. Now, again, I put some other ideas in here to kind of construct crafting that plan for your stepping stones. Break your goals into actual steps, like I said. So identify the tasks, like this is for boosting sales. Your plan might be include trainings in upselling. It might be creating a marketing campaign. It might be networking to new client bases. So I know I got very vague on things, but you can get very specific. So like, especially if it's boosting sales. So I don't think it should be boosting sales. Maybe it's you want to increase your sales numbers by 20%. Okay. So that there's a couple steps in that, right? It's going to be creating a new marketing plan to bring in the kind of clientele that's going to boost that, or just new clientele in general. The networking out to new client bases is going to bring in different clients. It might be a referral program you start to bring more in once you have clientele. So there's lots of different things you can do in that space. That's a good place to start. Kind of talked about milestones, like I said, whether it's quarterly, monthly, or even weekly checkpoints. And I think that's a good idea if you are struggling to really get started on goals and like are the idea of this already what I'm saying to you, you're like, oh, Laura, I'm not going to do that. A great way is to have weekly checkpoints. So you know what you have to do each week to get there. And that is going to be a pain in the butt to create. I know that, but it's going to be worth it because you'll actually see the progress sooner. And you won't be stressed about, oh, I'm not feeling I'm not getting anywhere. If you break it down that granularly, you're going to see the movement. And then I'm a big fan on leveraging tools. I will not tell you to pay for anything, but I'll just recommend if there's things that if you're in that space. So there are many planning tools out there. Asana is one, Trello is one, Google Workspace is one. You can do, if you have Microsoft, you can do like a Teams planner board. There is endless wealth of planners and things that you could use. Also, I'm a big fan of an Excel sheet and a piece of paper. So don't act like you have to do it this way, but take the time to plan out your tasks. And when I talk about the stepping stones and what happens in the quarter, I think breaking the whole process down of your goal is important. It's going to take a minute to do. But then when you have it all listed out, and it could be a laundry list, and I'm a big fan of like getting a piece of paper and just going, okay, what is everything I have to do here? Or typing, what is everything I have to do here? And then going, okay, what are the things I can accomplish right now? That's your first stepping stone, right? And then what's your next step? Breaking that down. And then, so then you have the year kind of planned out of how to get there, but it's just taking that minute to break it all out first. So you don't need all this technology. It just can help because then you could, I'll be at it. I like to click and hear the ding that I did thing. It's like, ding. I'm like, oh, look at what I did today. I'm a very, I like the dopamine of that. I'll be honest, but you do not have to do that. I'm also a big fan of scratching something off a list. So those are ways that you can kind of do that. Now, what are your core 5? So again, this is the method I use. Please use whatever makes the most sense for you. But so of what's in my stepping stones, I every day will write down the 5 things I'm going to do today towards those. So, and this is just part of my planner. It doesn't have to be 5. It could be 3. It could be 1. I choose 5. I like 5. I'm probably overachieving. I get that, but you should have a plan in place. So for example, for me, even just in daily work tasks, because one of my goals is attached to daily work, to my work. So I think that's important to know. Sometimes it's like create this, edit this, it's very like manual everyday things that are in my 5. Because you know why? Rhonda laughed at me and said, oh, again, I like to hit the ding. Ding, I did that. Ding, let's do this. Ding, to this. And it feels real good to check off 5 at the end of the day. You are probably naturally doing more than 5 things towards your goal every day anyways. You just aren't writing them down to scratch them off. You just aren't writing them down to focus on them. Taking the couple seconds to do this is going to be incredibly helpful, because the days I don't have 5, and there are days that I don't, I go, oh, what am I going to do today to get to there? And eventually I find it. I also want to be very clear. On a Saturday or Sunday, my only thing on my 5 is to relax and read a book. I am not that much of an overachiever, nor should you be. You know your days, you know your time, you know your space. If you are part-time right now, it doesn't need to be 5. Do what makes sense for you, what's easiest for you. But what's important is just the focus, right? All of this is kind of making sure your head and your face, your head and your face, my goodness, your head and your focus are in the right place. So you have your big goal, you have your steps to get there. What am I doing today to get there? That's really what it is. And that's, again, you're almost creating your own algorithm here. This is Google sending me only pink purses because all my kid has been playing in my house is Wicked, and she wants to be Glinda. She's not a small child, she's 14. So all I'm getting advertised is everything pink and Wicked. But that is what you're doing within your own daily business. My goal, my steps, what I did today to get there. I promise you it feels real good when you cross off those core 5. But again, this doesn't have to be connected directly to your big goal. This should just be connected to something in those stepping stones, something in that dirty work. How do you monitor this progress, right? Again, key performance indicators. I'm a big believer in KPIs. You can start them for yourself, whether it's how many new clients you brought in, whether it's repeat bookings. That's a great goal to have so many repeat bookings, whether it's revenue growth. So it's a 20% increase, 10% increase, 5 new bookings, whatever that may be. Set that goal and track to see if you're hitting it. I think that seeing that helps so much. So if your goal is a 20% more new clients, right? So you know what your number is, and that, let's be clear, that doesn't matter whether you only had 10 new clients this year or you had 200 new clients this year. 20% is 20%. Okay. So you know what that number is. Lilith, I'll answer that 1 second. You know what that number is. And then each day I go, oh, I had these many. So now I only have this many left. Oh, I hit 3 more. So now I only have this many left. And so seeing those little tickways that I feel like I say this almost every time I get on here, but how do you eat a giraffe or an elephant? 1 bite at a time. That is how you see that kind of go. So making sure you're tracking it is so important, because again, if it's not in front of you, if you're not paying attention to it, your focus isn't in the right place. Lilith asked if do I find time blocking to be effective? 150%. And I hate saying percentages like that because clearly there's no such thing as 150%. I time block every single day. I have an hour of focus time in my mornings, as long as it allows. If there's other meetings involved, I clearly can't do that. Where I look at my day, where I write this stuff down, where I write my goals down, where I track my KPIs. Now, do you have to track KPIs every day? No, respectfully, you don't have to. It depends on the magnitude of numbers that are coming into you on the daily. If you are still just getting started, there's nothing wrong with a weekly check-in on that, I would say. And it could be just a healthy like exercise for like a Monday morning kind of situation. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. Let me look at what happened last week. And I think it's actually sometimes easier to when you're first starting to do it weekly, because the number, it's going to feel better, because sometimes you're like, if you're doing it daily and you're like, nobody called today, I didn't book anything today. Nobody called the next day, I didn't book anything today. It is gonna kill your soul, and it shouldn't, because it takes time in the beginning. No one is successful overnight. Even the best salespeople I've ever met are sometimes struggling in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? You have to so I recommend if you're just starting, do weekly, see what that looks like for you, but make sure you're measuring it. But taking that time to measure your KPIs, schedule out your week, schedule out your day, and schedule in one, Lilith, time for educating yourself, time for getting up on like news and things that are going on within the industry. I can't tell you how many new or experienced advisors I will be with out in public, and they don't know something major that happened in the industry because they're not paying attention to what's going on. I also recommend in that time some time for business planning, financial planning. I'll get into all those topics later in other weeks, but they're incredibly important for your business. And financial planning is probably one of the biggest things that are missed in travel advisors. So yes, yes, and yes. Schedule regular time. I just kind of talked to review what's working, what isn't. Again, take that time yourself. You might have to schedule out 1 hour a month where you go, okay, what worked this month and didn't? How close did I get to my goal? Did I make any traction? That's what you can do in that time. And be flexible. You're not going to move mountains in a day. You're just not. And what's important is being realistic with yourself and treating yourself with some kindness, especially if you're just starting out. If you aren't just starting out, still treat yourself with some kindness, because sometimes when you've been in this industry a long time, you think you can accomplish massive, massive things, and you get caught up in the day to day and you don't get there. And you're like, well, I thought I could do this. That doesn't mean you're not capable of doing it. It means you have to readjust your goal. So this is just an add-in. You do not have to do this. It's something I do every day, but I am a big believer in gratitude. And it doesn't have to even be gratitude. I write down what I'm grateful for every day. You don't have to do that. A way you can do this, and an easy way to do this, as I've already mentioned it a couple times, a wins list. So every time you hit a goal, whether it's I made one new booking, write it down. If it's I booked, I chartered a river cruise, write it down. Any little win that is related to your business, I highly recommend in the back of a notebook, start that list. Start the list, write it down. I accomplished this. I finished this training. So anything that's on your stepping stones, when you accomplish those, write them in your win list. When you hit a goal, absolutely write it in your win list. But anything in those spaces, write it down, write it down, write it down. And you'll be shocked at how quickly you have a very long list. And that feels really good. And nothing brings more back to you than putting out good. So I'm just a big believer in this. And I put mindfulness practice in there. I do believe in this as well. I think you can get very overwhelmed, especially if you've never set a goal before and you're not seeing the traction you want to, and you can see you're just going to burn out very fast. Take a minute to think about how far you've come. If this is whether it could be a meditation kind of thing, or it could literally just be take a few breaths. Take a minute in your day just to take a few breaths. But those are important things to me. I pop this in there, completely optional. But how you can stay motivated in other ways is one. Rhonda, that is a very good point. Let me go back to that. Gratitude has actually a positive effect on brain chemistry and is almost as good as running. I'm gonna do a shameless plug for gratitude. It seems silly, but I can tell you, and this I'm gonna sound cheesy, but the 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I started writing down, like doing a gratitude practice, and it's like simple things. It's like, man, I ate the best cheesecake last night. It's not like I'm so grateful for my family and my friends and my health. And you should be grateful. It's the little things. And it's that, man, I really love playing that game with my kids last night. Oh God, it was so great to see like the joy on their face when I booked that booking for them. When I started to do that, my life changed tenfold. I just started to feel different. I operated different. And when I started to feel different and operate different in my day to day, it affected the way I was operating with my clients. My clients saw the positivity, they felt the positivity. It builds a more true, genuine relationship when we are in a relationship building sales world. You are not just selling vacuums, you are selling dream vacations. So there's so much that can go hand in hand with gratitude. I'm a big believer in it. But oh, well, my biggest obstacle is not to compare my progress with others. Ooh, that's fair. We'll get into that in a second. But when I talk about being mindful and staying present and not beating yourself up too much, the hardest thing to do is not compare yourself to others. But literally no one in this industry is selling the same things. Nobody has the same story as you. And which is a fabulous thing, right? Because we're in an industry where you are not necessarily competing with the person next door. You're not necessarily competing with the advisor down the street or the advisor out 3 blocks away or the advisor, because they're selling different product. They're selling to different types of clients. They have a different demeanor in their sales process. So you're not going to attract the same clients as them. So when you're comparing yourself, you're setting yourself up to fail, and it can be incredibly defeating. And sales, especially this kind of sales, you cannot let yourself get overwhelmed with those kind of things, because if I let myself, for example, when I started as an advisor and I still live in this area, we come from a fairly low income area. I was set up around, and I was aware of people that we're booking Abercrombie and Kent tours left and right. And I was like, what? And if you're not familiar, they're a very high-end luxury tour company, and they're a fabulous tour company. But where I lived, I didn't have anybody that could afford that. So what I had to do was set my expectations in a place where, okay, I might not be able to get to that place and book them, but what I can do is book 10 of this to get to that space, to be booking, to be getting the same sales projection as that. Did I have to work twice as hard to be making the same kind of sales? Yes. But the reality was I had more clients because of it. And then they started to get more adventurous and they started to book better things, and the tide started to shift. So it's very important not to compare, because truly you are playing different ball games. So keep that in mind. And I get that. I would love to. Oh, of course you could join the group as well. Everyone, I'll put the Facebook group up in a bit, but um, and listen, you're gonna find a progression in your booking, and this can go on forever. Like I said, a 30-year agent was changing to cruising. And I spoke with an advisor today, where she is doing really well, and because she knows FIT bookings inside and out. But she also wants to look at cruising. Like, being willing to adjust and change is always going to change your trajectory, and you're never going to be compared to somebody else, because again, they're not selling the same things, and what's going to drive your business and make the most for your business is not going to be the same as Sally down the road. She might only want to sell Disney, and good for her. That's a lot of work. But like, she's allowed, and you're not in the same business. Now, there's a great, wonderful world, and I'm going to talk. I clicked too far. I clicked too far. What did I do here? No, don't look yet at that. I didn't click too far. But I was going to talk about that. Getting into social channels with other advisors is incredibly helpful when you're trying to figure out what your goals should be and what their goals were. But don't let yourself get overwhelmed by what they're doing in comparison. Always put into perspective your geographical area, what makes sense for your clientele, and who you think you're going to bring in. Okay. But like I said, celebrate wins. We talked about that, a win list, and how you can see that every single day. And also, even if that is just you sending yourself a little email, like, you did it, or it's like, you send yourself some flowers. Miley Cyrus can do it. Why can't we? You can buy your own flowers. But like, it's those kind of things, right? Like and it could be as simple as like, I do, every once in a while, like I'll be like, I did this, I accomplished, like, it just feels good. Pat yourself on the back, even if it's just going to buy yourself your coffee, because you're like, I booked this today. I never thought I was going to book it. Buy that coffee. Stay connected to your why. Again, we talked a little bit about vision, and remember why you started in the first place. I think that gets lost very quickly. There's so much to learn. There's so much to take in, especially if you're first starting. And all of a sudden, what you started and why you started is lost in the, well, I heard I can make money doing that. And you can, and that's not a problem. But remember why you got into it. Don't, if you are adjusting because it's important to why you got into it, do it 110%. Go get it. I said I wasn't going to do that, but I did again. But go get it. Do the things you have to, but make sure you're always staying focused into what's important. And I am a big believer of vision boards. Again, this is my witchy nonsense, but not witchy, but like manifesting, doing things, putting it in front of you. It's so important. So, build accountability. And this is so relevant when you said like comparing yourself to others. Having a partner to celebrate your wins with, or someone to talk about with this, or to keep you on track, is very, very important. This industry, when you are first starting out, or even if you are 20 years in, if you do not work with coworkers, can feel incredibly isolating. And even when you're crushing it, you may not feel like you're crushing it because you don't have a sounding board to say it with. And so there's huge social groups that you can get involved with, and they're great, but they're not always the most motivating, I'll be honest. But finding a core group of advisors, and whether you find that from going to a networking event or like an ASTA event or a local supplier dinner or whatever it may be, find a core group of people that you can speak truth with and ask the silly questions and feel comfortable doing so, is gonna help you grow your business just feeling comfortable. Just having the comfort to step out of your comfort zone, to ask silly questions, to do the dumb things, to make the mistakes is going to help you grow just because you had the space to do it. So find, even if it's just one partner, find, and also this is important if you're just starting out. And also, again, if you're 20 years in, doesn't matter, 10 years in, because having somebody that you can also rely on if something were to happen and you were away, and someone you can reach out to, that's helpful. And also, when if you say you're going down the road of picking a niche or switching niches and you don't want to book a certain kind of booking anymore, finding someone that also books those things. So you can be like, oh, I can't do this, but I know this person that I trust. They can help you with that. It's a great way to handle your clients and not lose them. And then I am just, you heard me talk about again, I talked about, oh my goodness, like not a meditation practice. You know what I'm saying? But like a practice of taking care of yourself. But again, I'm a big believer in self-care and doing things so you don't burn out. The reality is, not everything's always peachy and sunshine and roses when you're trying to hit a goal. Sometimes you think you've nailed it and it doesn't happen. Sometimes you're so close and you don't get it. That doesn't mean you can't get it. It just means it's not right now. Sometimes you picked a goal and it wasn't right at all, and you have to refocus completely. And that can be incredibly diminishing and frustrating. But taking a minute occasionally to go, okay, I'm going to step away from this. I'm not going to burn myself out. And that could be as simple as treating yourself to a fam trip here and there, treating yourself to a little getaway, to one, educate yourself, but also just removing yourself in a manner. But it could also just be something as simple as knowing your boundaries. When you're trying to hit a goal and you're a real entrepreneur spirit, sometimes you can work way too late and way too early and not know when a weekend is. And that isn't going to get you anywhere if you lose your mind. You can't run a business properly if you've lost your mind. And I can't tell you how many well-established advisors I know they've lost their minds. And I have a good friend of mine. I'll see her doing bookings at 2 a.m. And I said, "Why do you?" She says, "I have to." No. You have to learn to set boundaries for yourself. You have to learn what's important to you and what is going to keep you going. If you are a person that can work all day and all night, good for you, and please do it. But if you know you can't and you're doing it just to get by, you're never going to hit that goal because you're just going to burn yourself out. So just pay attention to your own self and what makes sense, and set boundaries for yourself. And that's really important. And then I just wanted to talk about ways to help get goals. Of course, you can always reach out to myself or anyone you know, but look for industry experts. There's a lot of industry experts out there that talk about different kind of goals that you can hit. And I also, even in this space, I'm more talking about supplier partners. Reach out to them and say, hey, I want to grow with you. How can I do this? What's a realistic goal for me with you and your business? I can tell you from the supplier side, I loved when people would reach out to me with this. I would love to set goals with them because a goal grows their business as well as yours. And then they are excited about it and they're willing to help you. So reach out to your supplier partners, reach out to any other industry experts that may be able to help you and kind of set these goals. It's very, very important. Take advantage of networking opportunities. It's so helpful. It really, really is. I can't tell you how many advisors I see waste trade show opportunities. It's probably one of my biggest pet peeves because I've seen it from both sides. I plan on teaching a session on how to properly utilize these kind of events because within my organization, we have a large event every year. And at this one, I taught a class on how to properly utilize a trade show and like how to do it. And so many people are like, oh, I really needed that. And you forget sometimes like how to handle those, or oh, you booked a bridal show for honeymoons. Those are so fun. Again, the opposite side of that is like making sure you're utilizing those correctly, making sure you're showing yourself correctly. It's definitely something I want to talk about in the future. But making sure, even at these different opportunities where you'll be networking, whether it's you're networking your own business or you're networking with supplier partners to grow your business, making sure you're taking full advantage. Oh, you got your little staplers because you said so, Kim. I love that. So Kim must have been, I taught a course I said about trade shows, and I talked about how it can be so overwhelming because you're going to pull brochures and you're going to pull business cards and it's all going to throw, because everyone loves to give you a bag and you're going to throw all that bag and you're not going to know where the stuff is later and you're not going to know who to call and you can't remember who they talked about. So I'm a big proponent on getting those 99 cent little staplers and just staple it to the brochure that they handed you, or staple it to this because then it's bigger and you can hold on up. Kim, that just made me so happy. Lil, you're attending 3 different local networking events this month here in Chicago. Chicago is a great spot for events, and yes, do it. You're gonna grow so much. And one, share your goals and insights. A few weeks ago I talked about supplier relationships. I think it was 2 weeks ago. You'll find it in the Facebook page if you add yourself to it. And I talked about how important it is to share your goals and insights with the supplier partners you're working with because they want to help you. They really, really do. And then again, lastly, of course, use social channels. Speak to other advisors, see what other people have out there as goals. I did a Halloween marketing event, and it's amazing, and it was amazing. Sasha, I don't know if you know, and this is your first time here, but I am the biggest Halloween fan. I did all my presentations on Halloween theme leading up to Halloween. I'm a big fan, but I love that they did a Halloween networking event. I also, again, I'm tangenting a lot tonight, and I apologize. I saw a really cool thing, and I've talked about it a couple times in here. An advisor locally went to a local, it was like a fall event. And so sorry, I got excited. Sasha said she was flight attendant Barbie, and I love that for Halloween. I'll tell you what I was at in a second, but she went to a fall event, and she actually, this was her side job. And she was selling, she made like, she was definitely an entrepreneur, to say the least. But her side job was she made those hot cocoa bombs, and she made little coffee cup sets. What they came in it, and then she had this big old basket that she was giving away. She's like, "Oh, if you put your name in for my travel agency, we're giving away a $50 gift card for that, and you get all this good stuff." I go, "Ooh, girl, that was good marketing." And she's like, "What?" I was like, "I work in travel, and I never would have connected that you were in travel, but what a way to get names in for an do like networking here." Now I'll tell a fun old story. When I first started, now this is not relevant anymore, and I'm pretty sure it's not legal, so please don't not do it. But when I first started in the travel industry, I put all my business cards in the travel books in a Barnes and Noble. Tell no one. And it worked. But what I like is thinking outside the box, and that's exactly what she did in that moment. So taking those moments, so we get really stuck in the idea of only doing events that make sense for travel, but that was not a travel event at all. It was a local fall festival, and she was there. I have recently been going to like school events and seeing travel advisors there for parents of like, hey, these are great family friendly vacations. There's so many opportunities outside of the space that we think, which is generally like bridal and stuff like that. I love what's happening in there. One, I will talk about what Angela said in a second, but there's so many opportunities out there. Angela said she needs help with social networking. I get it. It's overwhelming. I plan on doing some courses on it, but I love that Lil stepped up and was like, I can help you. Because it can be a lot, and you're not wrong, but we're going to talk about it in the future. Recently joined your local chamber of commerce. That is a huge, huge step, and that's really helpful. Also, a lot of areas have great local business owner groups. Like our local area has one called Power, where once a month everybody gets together. It's like a professionals group, and they trade information, and then they'll give out their information to other people. So there's like a great networking within it. We have a networking women's group as well as all. I love that, Kim. That's a great idea too. There's a lot of these great groups that you can get into. I also people forget about gyms. That's a great place to put your travel. Hair salons. There's a lot of different places you could put your cards. Farmers market is a great networking place. Rhonda nailed it. I did see somebody at a local farmers market. I thought that was a great idea. I'll tell you, I personally, when I had my agency, I would do local, like any kind of summer events. So whether it was like a local pride event, or if it was like the 4th of July festival, like setting up a booth of those are generally fairly inexpensive, and you just hand out brochures and your business cards. Oh, is in my local BNI. I love that. So much lovely things are happening in the chat right now. But what I'm getting at, and what you all are already kind of doing, is thinking outside the box and making sure you're getting out there and networking. It will help also figure out your goal. And I say this in all the kindness I can. Say you set up to do a family event, and you're like, oh, I don't want to help families at all. this seems like a lot. Like, because families can be a lot. You're going to know pretty quickly that you need to adjust that goal, right? If the clientele you're bringing in, or if your goal is to be, say, a river cruise salesperson, and you go to and your local area and you see no one's biting on it, you can go, maybe we don't have that clientele. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to adjust the goal, but it may have to adjust where you're getting your clientele from. There's a lot of different spaces for that, a lot of different lead generation tools, but it's really helpful in kind of building and crafting your goal as you get yourself out there. Okay, let me take a sip of water and while you guys read this for a second. If I've talked, I know I've gone over time, so thank you guys so much for hanging on. We're almost done. I have talked at you for the last hour about how I build goals, how I focus on my goals, ways to focus your goals. If you're still like, I don't want to do any of that, I don't want to think that far. I thought this was really cool. I tried this over the weekend. I really enjoyed it. And so for those of you that don't want to put this much effort in, but just want to see what goals could potentially be for you, I highly recommend you try this. ChatGPT is free. Just go to the website. And I want you to type in, and I know, so take a screenshot of this because I know you can't copy and paste from my screen. But what it says is, I want to create my goal and vision for 2025. Please guide me through this process by asking me 20 questions one by one. And when I'm done asking the 20th question, please write my dream life story for 2025. What's my 2025 or what my 2025 affirmation will be, and then my top 5 goals broken down by relationship, business, family, money, body, and life. Now, I took this direct from someone else. I do not take credit for this, but and also you do not have to add all those in there. It could just be business, right? But this was really, really cool. And the questions it asked back were really interesting. It asked different things like what defines success for you for your business at the end of the year. And it asks very provocative, in a sense, open-ended questions to help build this. And what came out at the end, I loved. So I highly recommend, if you're still like, I have no idea where to start, play around with this. See if this is what makes sense for you. I thought it was a really cool thing. But truly what I would say to task you with this week, because I always like to throw a little task at the end, is just work this week on finding one goal. And that one goal could literally be just one booking by the end of January. Or it could be 30 bookings by the end of January. It could be complete one supplier course that I have not completed before. It could be sign up for a training with a company that I don't know anything about. It could be schedule some time with a supplier partner that I can talk one-on-one with someone I don't know enough about. It could be a million different things, but find a goal, set it, and I highly recommend it be something you can complete in the quarter. So the quarter goes to the end of March, and set up your steps to get there. Try to work through this. If you need help with this, email me. And I'm going to pop this up as I say that because my email address is at the bottom, but take the time, set a goal. I know this isn't a whole lot of time to get into this. I know this is a very overarching topic. But goals are very important to me. I told you I write them down every single day. I've hit many of my goals this way. I'm not just saying that, it's a reality. I kid you not, I'll tell you a fun story now. And please, if you have to go, because I know I went over time, I completely understand and you can hop off. But my 9-year-old daughter about 2 years ago went into school and said, my mom's a witch. I am not, let's be clear. Her teacher was like, huh? She's like, my mom writes stuff down and it just happens. And that is exactly what she was talking about, because at the time I had written down a goal, and it was a goal I had written down for years and years and years, and I had hit it. And I was so excited to tell them about it, because I try to keep my daughters, I have a 14 and a 9-year-old, and I try to keep them involved in that process so that they, one, understand that progress takes time and it takes hard work. But I also want them to see me writing those things down. So yes, I could copy and paste it into the chat. Absolutely, Charity. She asked if I could, let me do that really quickly. But I think it's really important that they're involved in that. But it cracked me up that her teacher's like, I just want you to know that she called you a witch. I was like, are you sure it was about that? And it really cracked me up. But I also just love that they can see that process and understand. Oh, it's so exciting, Mia. All right, hold on one second. I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm gonna pop the chat GPT thing into, I thought this was so cool. I can't, who I got this from, I want to give credit where credit is due, but I don't actually even think it's hers. I follow this girl, Alison Kutch. She's like on TikTok and the different things. Her husband was in the NFL, but she posted it and said she did it. And I saw some other people post it as well. And I really liked it. So I just wanted to share it with all of you since we were talking about goals anyways. And I will actually, now that I pulled this down, I can pull what some of my like questions were. It popped to me because I have it still saved. So I just want to copy this. It is fun. Okay. All right. I popped the question into the chat if you want to try that yourselves. And then I just want to tell you some of like the responses that kicked back to me because I thought it was really, really interesting. So at one of the things, so the questions I got asked were for mine were what excites you the most about the future? What does your ideal day in 2025 look like from morning to night? What are the biggest accomplishments you want to celebrate by the end of 2025? How do you want to feel in 2025? And I just want to focus on those two things really quickly. That's important. So when you think about the goal, because it's not even just like, why is that goal important to you? Are you going to feel fulfilled? Are you going to feel successful? Like, what is that going to feel like? So I love that question involved in that one. What impact do you want your work to have on others in 2025? What personal relationships do you want to nurture or improve? What habits or routines will you commit to daily or weekly to support your physical and mental health? What are the top 3 business achievements you want to accomplish? What for financial milestone you want to achieve? These are just the first 10. There was 20. But what is one new skill or hobby you want to learn? And then it continued to go and go and go. And there was 20 of them total. And what it wrote at the end, I truly just loved. And the goals for me were, funny enough, completely in line with what I already had for my goals for this year. I just wanted to see what it created, and it was able to. So if you have 10 minutes, I highly recommend you do that. It didn't take me more than 10 minutes. And ChatGPT is free. So, and if you, this, I think I almost, if I hadn't done this, this would have been the first, I think one of these sessions where I didn't talk about the utilization of AI and how important it is. But ChatGPT is an easy one to get into because it's complimentary. But I am, as far as the presentation point, guys, is done for this week. As if you have questions, you want to keep chatting, I'm staying here for a few more minutes. If not, feel free to pop off. But one, thank you so much for spending your time with me tonight. I love coming here. I hope I see you again. Invite somebody new each time. I will pop the Facebook group in here one more time so that if you missed it in the beginning, and then we've been chatting away, you are able to still join. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, and Lilith, let's see here. This is my manifestation truth. At this time last year, I want to be in love, and it happened 2 months ago. I love that. I'm a big manifestor girl. Thank you. You really enjoyed. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Stacy. Angela, or Angel, thank you for coming. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it, Rhonda. Listen, I'm here to try to help, but also if I can get a couple giggles along the way, because I am not the most serious person in the world. I'm glad you thought they were good ideas, Selena. Thank you, Charity. I appreciate it. Yay, Lilith, I can't wait to see you at the next one. I really enjoy this, and I hope you guys get a laugh out of my kookiness and all that. But I do hope you take something from this as well. Like I said, if you have questions, if you want to send me an email, please feel free to do so. Like I said, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to do anything. I'm just really here to help. Send in your request. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad, Sasha. I can't wait to see you at more in the future. And I'm just teasing a little bit. If you're still here, I should have a fancy new camera for next week, which I'm very excited about because I hate this grittiness that happens on here. But if you have no questions, go enjoy your evening. If it's 8 o'clock for like a East Coasters like me, go enjoy the rest, go to bed, whatever makes the most sense for you. If you have questions, like I said, I'll stay in here till about 8:15, and if not, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love this so much, and I'm so glad that so many of you show up each week, so I'm able to do it. To be honest with you, I'll just say this here at the end here because it's a goal. One of my goals last year was to start doing something like this, and now my goal is just to keep making this bigger and more interesting and more helpful. So I'm so glad that all of you are a part of this and part of my goal as well. So all of you have a wonderful, wonderful evening if you're jumping off. And if not, you're still here. I hope I see you soon. I can tell you this month is all about starting off this year right. We're gonna get into some more planning next week, and how you can use these goals to plan a bit. Oh, okay, let's see here. Angela, I had one client that traveled in July, my first client, and she's recommending me to everyone. That we're gonna get into referrals at another time. I know I even mentioned it tonight and I didn't, but referrals are one, the best because you did no work to get them. Two, you know there's something about travel referrals where like they trust to give your information out, so people trust to take that information in. It's going to keep bringing it back tenfold. And I'll talk about referral programs and how you can really build in this space, but they're your biggest cheerleaders. Use them in any way you can, because they're incredibly helpful to growing your business. I want to plan a retreat. Ooh, how cool would it be? I would love that, Charity. That might be a goal. I need to create. Nothing would bring me more joy than hosting my own personal development retreat. I can't even tell you. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. I would love that. I can tell you in the meantime, I love that. I can tell you in the meantime, I'll put it in the Facebook group, all the places that I'm going to be. I'm going to be at a ton of events this year in trade show spaces. So if you're there, please come say hello to me. I can't wait to meet everybody. But I like that idea. Angela, I have a potential client as well, and it's a honeymoon couple wanting to go on a Virgin voyage in October. As an Oh, well, you're going to have excuses. Don't let that one. I always used to, this took me time and space to get here, but um that person was a learning experience. You learned something you maybe didn't know before. Probably different processes. It's something I'm sure you took something from it. Don't be hurt by the fact that they don't book, but they still can. And because don't forget that these are thousands of dollar purchases, they're not like I said, purchasing a vacuum. So they may just need a minute to get around, but you might be able to recommend that to somebody else and use that as fuel to book somebody else. So that's probably the most frustrating thing. I was talking to an advisor today about like why people is there. I don't know what the non-committal to travel is. Like they want us to do all the work, but won't really dive in. But I think that being resilient in those times is incredibly important. One of your goals, Charity, is to book 4 retreats that I can help. I would love that. I love it. Listen, maybe we need to talk. Maybe we need to have the outside conversation. We're going to build this retreat. I'm here for it. I would like it to be somewhere warm and sunny. I am that kind of girl. I love this. Oh my goodness. You all are so wonderful. Well, if you're not in the chat already, I'm gonna add everybody to the Facebook group in a second. We'll start planning this in the Facebook group. I'm here for it, and I would love to help you all grow your business in the way of we're booking it. So let's look at these wheels turning. But I'm also gonna give you back your night now. We're well over the time it should be. Thank you all for this. You really stirred something in my brain that I think could be really fun. So let's think on this. And I will see you all next week, I hope. And if not, watch the replay next week and I'll see you the week after. Oh, thank you, Angela. Rhonda, have a good night. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to turn this off in a second. And thank you all. And we'll catch you next time.